What's up guys, Shane here from Fugatech 3D Printing, and today we're going to check out Prusa Slicer 2.0. It was just released and I want to see the differences in it, and I want to just, do a print and see how it goes. Welcome back guys. So here we are in Prusa Slicer 2.0. It used to be called Slicer PE, Prusa Edition. It was the original Slicer, or as Tom says, Slic3r, and they had just kind of added in their own bit to it. Now this is still the more simple version, I'll say. It's not as fluffy as the Prusa Slicer 1.0, I guess, was very fluffy. It had a lot of, I don't know, it was very gooey. This is kind of more simplistic and less fluff to it, I think. So here is the Prusa Control. So this was basically the first version that they had. And again, it's kind of fluffy with how they did things here. We'll go ahead and pull in a simple thing real quick. So when you click on it, you see, kind of see orientation and settings and all that stuff. But this is basically their original version. I mean, this is 0.9. This is the beta version, what it was. There's a newer version out there, but again, this was just kind of what they originally did. Close that out, we don't care about that, discard that. And here we are in Slicer Prusa Edition 2.0. Now, let's look at the similarities. So firstly, up top, we're gonna have the platter. We have print settings, filament settings, and printer settings. That is the same as the Slicer Prusa Edition. But what here is we do have a little bit different of a bed platform. It actually looks like a physical bed from the top, but you lose it when you go underneath. The other one was kind of just the outline. And also over here on the side, the icons have changed. You also don't have the display up top anymore of everything. You still have on the right side your print settings, which is good to see. And here we have our slicer when you preview. When you go to the preview, you do get the same bits down the bottom, settings and things you can add in, take off, so that you can see more and actually analyze your slice, so I guess analyze your print before, analyze your G-code in a 3D manner before you end up printing it, if that makes any sense to you guys. So let's just pull in a simple object, something I'm printing here soon, and as soon as you drop in an STL, it automatically will go ahead and put it right in the center. Now an interesting thing they do here is you can see these white corners. That is definitely different. They didn't have that before. And so you can kind of actually see from the top where actually is the most outer edge of your print. It will make it a little bit easier in order to add more things in, but the thing I don't know is that if you add in something else, like right there, will it actually, yeah, it will allow you to do that. Okay, got a little ahead of that there, but that's okay. So here we click on the object, and here on the right you can see object manipulation. So this is where we can go ahead and actually change which way it is. And when you click in there, your X, go left or right, your Y is front or back, and your Z is up and down. And that only comes up when you click and hover inside, when you click on, and you kind of make it, that's really simple to see there. And when you rotate, it'll tell you, okay, X rotation is this way, Y rotation is that way, and your Z rotation is coming from this way. Scale, again, scale is pretty easy. Scale it down if I want, go back up if I want. If I wanted to manipulate this on the Z and turn it around 180 degrees, I can do that, and it goes back to 0. I don't really like that. I like to see when it actually had changed. And here you also can go ahead and change your size. Now this should be, if we do 150, yeah, it will scale it up, and Control Z will undo it, which is good. Now, when you have something in here, what do you got to do? You need to be able to find your settings. So here we have move, scale, rotate, place on bed, and cut. The place on bed, or place on face, that's called place on bed, I think, in Simplify 3D. But this shows you all the different faces that you can pick. So if you wanted to print it like this, you can. Why would you? For this particular model, you wouldn't, because that's just stupid. And you click here, and then you have to click off of the object, or you can click this again. So you have to click the object, click which one of these you want to do, because if I'm not on an object, see, I can't select any of these. Nothing selects. You have to select the object you want to manipulate, and then you go ahead. And being able to do a cut is pretty cool right in the slicer. That's very different. There's no other one that I know that can do that. You can form a cut, pulls into two different pieces that can be manipulated. So that's pretty interesting. Control Z does not let me undo it. So it did work earlier, but now it doesn't. So there is no undo. Yeah, there's no undo. I don't like that. There was no undo in the original version either, so we'll just click those and delete them, and we will just pull in the body again to see it. Now you also can tell it's selected by the green. That's how you know you're selecting that object. It changes a little bit when you get to MMU, but we won't go there. So let's go ahead and kind of look at your quick settings here. All right, when you first open up Prusa Slicer Edition, you're gonna be greeted with the configuration wizard. So it's gonna come up to this very first off the bat. So you can do from scratch, but nobody wants to do that. You just hit next. And here is where you can add in your actual Prusa your actual Prusa printer. So they have all the different versions. They go all the way back to the MK2S. Is the oldest that they have here. MK 2.5 and the MK3. Now I have several different ones listed in here. For me, these ones that I selected, because I have my Mark 3S, which is, well, I think I have my Mark 3, which actually is my clone. I'm upgrading my Mark 3 to a Mark 3S, but that one also has the MMU2S on it. So that's why I have all those imported. Just in case I want to switch around, I can still do that. You can get it next. If you want to add the SL1, you can. Here you can also do a custom profile. So, and then you can go ahead and set it in here. So let's do real quick. Let's do a CR10S. All right, so we'll go next. It's a rep printer. That is correct, but you have a whole bunch of everyone. Actually, we're gonna do, so the firmware is actually Marlin on that one. It is a rectangular build bed. It is 300 by 300. Origin is at 00 pretty much. Yeah, that's fine. Next. Nozzle 0.4. It's a 1.75 millimeter filament in there. So it'll be different if you have like a Lulzbot or a Ultimaker. Those are 3 millimeter, 2.85. And then we want the bed at 200 we want the extrusion at 200. We'll do 205. And then we want the bed at 60. That's what I usually like for that. And then it'll automatically update things. So if I hit finish here, oh, look at that. I went right to that one. And then here on the right, you have the print settings, which is just the CR10. Yes, that's just the one that I made. The filament is here. We'll edit that later. And your printer, again, it goes into user presets. So you go ahead and have that. I can still go back to my Mark III, and it will adjust the bed picture. And then if I want to go to my MMU2S, this is if I'm going to do multi-material, or if I'm going to do a single colored print off of that printer, I have to use the MMU2S single one. And they will actually ask me which filament I want to use, or you can set 1 through 5. Whatever you want to do there. But either way, let's go. So let's go here to, we're gonna do the MK3S just to keep it simple for this one. So print settings, you have all these different ones that come in for the default Prusa ones. So 0.3 draft, that is very similar to Angus's that he did there. I prefer the 0.2 millimeter quality for most normal prints. And I usually use the generic PLA. That's what I usually do. But you can change all of this here in the advanced settings. Now there's a whole lot here. I'm not going to go through every single bit of it because you kind of have to learn and go through it, but basically over what was the Slicer Prusa Edition and Prusa Slicer 2.0, they're basically identical from what I can tell. There might be a few little things here and there that might actually have changed, but overall everything means the same. When it greens means that is the default that's on that profile. If I was to change this to 3, this will change. This will say that it's different from the default profile. So I can hit that and go back. And then you can change up your infill. So currently, this is what, I did do a print on this earlier and that killed me. Gyroid is the default one. I don't like gyroid. I really, really like cubic. That is just what I like. But also one thing to know, if you cannot save over top of the actual presets that are in there, the ones that come with the slicer, none of these system ones can be changed. So you can't save those. You could save it as a new one and call it your own, you know, so my 0.2 millimeter quality MK3 and go from there. But on the default, I don't know why gyroid is default, but that's just silly. Skirt and brim, so it's always gonna do a skirt 2 millimeters away, which is fine. And then if you want to have support materials, it'll automatically generate it. So that's basically all the print settings. You know, how many layers it needs to be, how many perimeters is it going to be, what's the infill, how's it gonna stick to the bed, and do you need support? Basically there. When we go to filament settings, this is also super simple. It's our diameter, our density, and cost. These you don't really need to change. It's 1.75 unless you're actually going to measure out your spool and then you're going to find your average. So maybe it's 1.74. Okay, you would make that change. I honestly have never changed it. I've never had a problem. And then here you're going to set what you want your extruder to be at when it starts, and the bed what is at it starts, and then for everything after the first few layers, I think it's 2 or 3 layers is when it actually goes back down. And then cooling, it's always on and it's auto. This is absolutely fine. So you can turn off auto if you want, and you can turn off always on, but leave it on. Run 100% except for the first layers, but auto will give it some time to, and it will go through all this different verbiage here of what it actually does. Very last thing, printer. So this is the MK3S, so it's a single printer, 0.4mm nozzle. As a retraction here, already in there, Z-lift is in there, and extrude color is yellow. Again, if you want to change this, you can. There's no real need to. And if there's any dependencies, which again, this is going off of the system presets and who created it and the default profile of what it is. So we can just go back here to platter. If we pull in a item, okay, so we saw this one, this is just the body of something, so it's selected. If you right click, or even if you double click on it, you could double click on it. You can't double click on it anymore. So if we do, well, you can fix the netfab here, you can mirror it here, add support enforcer, support blockers. If there's a place that you don't want support, you can do that. But that is, I guess whenever you do the, if I was to change to the MMU to S, but now you do it all on the side. So that is a little bit different. So you used to be able to double click your model and be able to do some edits with it there, but now you can't. That's okay. So I have it there. So you can either hit slice now, or you can hit this preview. That will slice it for you. And then here you have your slider, which you can slide down. You can see that cubic infill in there, how it goes through. And when it turns this darker color, that means that it is finished slicing. It also says slicing complete down at the bottom, but either way, you know that it's done once it turns this darker color. And any changes that you make, so I say I want the infill to be 20% now, it goes away. So you either have to go back here and hit preview, and it will go ahead and slice it again. Or if we go ahead and change this again back, you have to hit slice now, and it will go ahead and run through it. The slicing is, I would say, a little bit faster than Slicer Prusa Edition. It really is, and exporting actually is much faster than the old version was as well. It's still not as fast as Simplify 3D by any means, but it is significantly faster than what it used to be. And again, any changes that you make here, you have to re-slice the object. But here you can see our skirt, which is, there's 2 layers right there. It's 3 high. And then there's no support or anything in this. Bottom layer. And you can see here on the left, it tells you the different types. I can go ahead and add in the travel so I can see where it's going to travel. This is particularly useful if you want to see where is your stringing going to happen at. This is all the potentiality places, or the potential places, I'm sorry, of where stringing could happen. So you can always see that. Retractions, all your retraction points, which it doesn't really, here they are. So all of my retraction points are here at the top. This again will cause somewhere in there to have issues, will be where these retraction points are. So if you're seeing issues here, change retraction settings on there. Unretraction, so where it puts the filament back out. So retraction is where it sucks the filament in. Unretraction is when it pushes the filament back out and starts the next layer. Those are definitely places also that you could have too much come out if you have too much retraction or it's too fast. Again, those are things you can look for, and you can see all of that here in your slicer, which is really nice to see. And then shells, just shows you which are the shells, which doesn't really change much because those are all shells. So I guess if you had a difference, maybe you would see it, but it just kind of shades it all darker. Oh, you can see it there. I see now. So yeah, so when you pull it down, you can still see the shell of it as it gets put up in there, as it prints it, which is a little bit interesting to see that. And now from here, we just have to export it, and all we have to do is we need to hit export G-code, which is kind of nice that this button did change. There were several buttons here on the right in the old version, which I didn't particularly care for, but you still have your slice info, so how much filament it's gonna take, that's how many meters it's gonna take, use filament in millimeters cubed, how many grams it'll be, so 250 grams, just shy of that. It's going to cost $6 going off the $24 a kilogram calculation that is in, again, that's here in your settings. Where's that? It's in your filament settings right here. So I mean, usually my filament's like 20 bucks. a roll. So if we do that, come back here, and then we slice it again, because again I made a change, and that cost should go down because I'm using the same amount of filament, but the filament is cheaper. This is good if you're going to be making something for someone, so $2 saved almost by just changing the cost of my filament. So you can do that for your PETG, for PLA, whatever it is you're doing. And it's going to take, in normal mode, 21 hours 36 minutes, and in stealth mode, 21 hours and 51 minutes. So stealth is quieter. So again, a lot of the things in this seem to be the same for the most part. I mean, a lot of it is the same. Little layout differences here and there. A little bit of, you know, operational differences, again, because you can no longer double click or get into the object that way. Because the only thing that makes me wonder is that if I'm going to go ahead and throw in, let's throw in this icon here, let's arrange, and let's go here to the MMU2S, go and change all that back. So I'm just going to move a couple of things just so it doesn't error out on me. So here, if I want to set change extruder, yeah, right click, okay, so that would be extruder 1, and I click on this one and I can do change extruder, and that would be 2. That is an interesting way to do it. Now I do miss over here on the right side, it used to have a listing of all of the objects that are on your build plate. They no longer have that, it seems. I really like that in the old version. I like that in Simplify 3D. I don't know what Cura does because I don't use Cura. And then here you can set your different types of filaments. Again, you can add in any kind you want. So if you want to make each type of filament that you have, so you have Matter Hackers Pro PLA, you have Amazon Basics PLA, you have Ziltech PETG or wood filament, you can add all of those in here yourself, but you also can use any of these that are already in here. So if we go back to the MK3S and we want to use Prusa, so let's do, I use ColorFab Wood Fill for my wood setting. So I could go ahead and create a new one of this. I could save this out and call it Ziltech Wood PLA. And I could save that, and now it is saved in there under my user presets. And I can also delete it because I don't want to do that right now. And they do have several ones in here. So Verbatim, Tallman, Prusa, obviously. Like I said, I use the generics quite a bit. The PET, I use that for my PETG, and lots of color fab, and Filamentum. So and there's a timber fill in there now. That wasn't there before. So I was messing around a little bit more, and one thing I did actually notice is there is a way to change this. So if you go up here to configuration mode, it's on simple by default. If you go to advanced, we get some of that, what we would see in the other older slicer, we would see some of this here. So here we have some a lot more options here, lots more options that we can do. And if we go configuration mode and expert, we're getting a lot more. So we have a lot more information down at the bottom. We have size information, volume, is it manifold? Yes. So this looks a lot more. Oh, we have more up here. So split objects, split into parts, add instances. So there's a lot more options now whenever we do this. And that is interesting. So we so many more options in here now. Now we're in the expert setting. I did not notice that at first. I also read nothing about this. I just downloaded it, installed it, and wanted to just start playing with it. So if we do, I want to change some settings in here. Truly interesting, because you can also add in, you know, to make different copies of it if you want. I just kind of want to show you real quick that if you go up to configuration mode, you have other options so you can see more. And I bet you that changes everything in here too. Yeah, here we go. There's just so much more in here that you can see now. And here it shows you green is the simple, orange is the advanced, and red is the expert. So default, it keeps it simple for new users. I like that actually. And then we can go to here in advanced settings, and we can really change some things up. So all right, well, I just want to show you guys how to do that real quick, and back to your regular scheduled me talking to you. So again, I hope this just kind of helps you show some of the new features of Prusa Slicer Edition. He has a super in-depth blog post about it, and I'm sure there will be more about it to come, but I just kind of wanted to see for myself, what are the differences, how easy and intuitive is it to use, which it's still very intuitive. I would say more so than the old Slic3r Slicer version. And there are a few things that I don't like about it, but there's a few things I do like about it. And I really do like this outline here to see where exactly something's going to be. Because if you have a print that has this kind of overhang on it, you're like, oh, I wonder if I can put it like right there. Nope, you can't, because you can see down here at the bottom, and it tells you here, an object is outside the print area was detected. Resolve the current problem to continue slicing. I like that quite a bit. The warning system is good. Other slicers will just slice it off right there, and then you're just totally boned. So adding printer seems to be still quite easy. And manipulating objects, again, I like this whole fix through netfab. It built into this system. I really like that. I think that's pretty nifty. And then up here as well, let's see, you can still import and export your models. This is good, so if you ever have a model that is actually arranged incorrectly, and then you go ahead, come in here, and you correct it, then what you can do is you can do File, Export, and then you're gonna export your STL, and that will help keep it the proper orientation when you upload like Thingiverse or something like that, which is pretty interesting. So that's gonna be it. I just want to again have just kind of a look here into the new Prusa Slicer 2.0, see how it is to manipulate objects, how it is to add your own filament, your own printer, add in the Prusa printers, slicing, exporting. Again, it all seems pretty quick. I do have a project with this STL in particular coming up super soon, which will probably come out like right after this video comes out. You'll see that one. Just a quick little project. This is just something I bought online. I really liked it, and I wanted to print out and share my experience with you. And again, using the new Slicer edition, or the new Prusa Slicer. God, it's gonna be hard to say that. So that's it, guys. So make sure, if you want to know what's happening on my channel, become a subscriber and hit that bell icon. You'll get an email notification or push notification on your mobile device when I go live or any new videos come out. You also get an email. So some people like that, some people don't, but hey, if you do, I appreciate it. You'll know when stuff comes out. If you want to help me out, create videos, buy things, there's lots of ways to do it down below. Become a patron on my Patreon squad. You can do one-time donations, use any of the affiliate links, and I also have links to all the stuff that I talked about here in the video description. So if you want to go and try the slicer out, add your own printer to it, and get the library going, I'd say have at it and enjoy it. And that's gonna be it, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and happy printing.